My dear friends, gather around and listen closely, for the tale I am about to tell you is not just a story, it is a warning. A warning that will make you question the things you see, the things you eat, and the people you trust. What if I told you that the shawarma you've been craving, that perfectly spiced, tender meat wrapped in warm pita bread that fills the air with its irresistible aroma, might not be what you think it is? What if I told you that behind the spinning rotisserie and the sizzling onions lies a secret so dark, so horrifying, that it will change the way you look at shawarma forever? This is the story of Emeka Okafor, a man whose greed knew no bounds. A man who, in his desperate quest for wealth and power, made a choice so unthinkable, so evil, that it would not only destroy his life, but bring shame and terror to the entire city of Aba. But this tale goes deeper than you could ever imagine. For behind Emeka's shawarma stand was a conspiracy so twisted, so diabolic, that it would make your blood run cold. Are you ready to discover the truth? Are you prepared to learn what really goes into that delicious shawarma you love so much? Then stay with me, because once you hear this story, you will never look at street food the same way again. In the bustling commercial heart of Aba, Abia State, where the sounds of traders and the smell of street food fill the air from dawn to dusk, there lived two men whose destinies would become forever intertwined in the most horrific way imaginable. First was Emeka Okafor, a 35-year-old security guard who stood watch at the gates of the most magnificent mansion in all of Aba. For 8 long years, Emeka had opened and closed those golden gates, watching life pass him by while earning barely enough to survive. His home was a tiny room behind the mansion, 4 cracked walls, a leaking roof, and a single bed that creaked with every movement. His clothes were faded hand-me-downs, his shoes held together with tape, and his meals consisted of whatever leftover gari he could afford. But every single day, Emeka watched as luxury cars swept through those gates. He watched as beautiful women in expensive clothes laughed and danced. He watched as his employer lived like a king while he remained invisible. The man who owned this empire was Chief Odinaka Yume, a 28-year-old politician and businessman whose wealth seemed to grow like magic. His mansion sparkled with marble floors, golden fixtures, and rooms so grand they could house entire families. Chief Odinaka threw parties that lasted for days. His garage held 15 luxury cars, Bentleys, Mercedes, Range Rovers, each worth more than Emeka would earn in a lifetime. Women flocked to him like bees to honey, and politicians treated him like royalty. And Emeka watched it all. Every single day. Why, Emeka would whisper to himself in the darkness of his tiny room. Why does he have everything while I have nothing? What makes him special? What makes him deserve this life while I rot away at his gate? The envy ate at him like acid. It consumed his thoughts, his dreams, his very soul. He began to hate the sound of those luxury cars. He began to despise the laughter that echoed from the mansion. Most of all, he began to resent Chief Odinaka, the man who had everything Emeka desired. But what Emeka didn't know was that Chief Odinaka's wealth came with a price so dark, so evil, that it would soon drag them both into the depths of hell. Chief Odinaka Yume was not just wealthy, he was untouchable. At only 28 years old, he commanded respect from governors, senators, and business moguls across Nigeria. His political influence stretched from Aba to Abuja, and his business empire seemed to generate money out of thin air. Inside his mansion, life was an endless celebration. The marble floors gleamed under crystal chandeliers. Golden statues adorned every corner. The walls were decorated with artwork worth millions of naira. But there was something unsettling about Chief Odinaka's success, something that made even his closest associates whisper in dark corners. How does a 28-year-old become so powerful so quickly? How does his every business venture turn to gold? How does he win every political battle without breaking a sweat? The answer lay in a secret room deep within his mansion, a room that Emeka, despite 8 years of service, had never seen. A room where Chief Odinaka conducted business that had nothing to do with politics or commerce. For you see, Chief Odinaka's wealth came from a source far more sinister than anyone could imagine. His power was not earthly, it was supernatural, and maintaining it required sacrifices that would horrify any sane person. Every month, Chief Odinaka would disappear for 3 days, traveling to a hidden compound in the forests of Anambra State. There, he would meet with Mazi Okwudili, a man so feared that even hardened criminals whispered his name in terror. Mazi Okwudili was no ordinary native doctor. He was a master of the darkest arts, a man who commanded spirits that most people only heard about in nightmares, and Chief Odinaka was his most prized client. Your power grows stronger, Mazi Okwudili would tell him during their secret meetings. But to maintain it, to expand it, you must do something greater, something that will bind the souls of your people to you forever. What do you need me to do? Chief Odinaka would always ask, his hunger for power overriding any trace of conscience. And that's when Mazi Okwudili would smile, a smile so cold it could freeze blood. Ritual of eternal binding, he would whisper, feed them the flesh of their own kind, and their souls will belong to you forever. They will vote for you, support you, worship you without question. They will be your slaves in spirit, even as they walk free in body. Chief Odinaka's eyes would light up with dark anticipation. Tell me what I need to do. But this ritual required a willing participant, someone desperate enough to do the unthinkable, someone whose greed could be used as a weapon. And Chief Odinaka knew exactly who that someone would be. A conversation that would damn them both happened on a sweltering Wednesday evening in March. Emeka had been standing at the gate for 12 hours straight, his uniform soaked with sweat, his stomach growling with hunger. As Chief Odinaka's latest Lamborghini purred through the gates, something inside Emeka finally snapped. "Sir," he called out, his voice trembling with 8 years of suppressed desperation. "Please, I need to speak with you." Chief Odinaka, dressed in a designer suit worth more than Emeka's annual salary, looked annoyed. "What is it, Emeka? I have important business to attend to." "Sir, I have served you faithfully for 8 years. I have never stolen, never complained, never asked for anything beyond my salary. But sir," Emeka's voice cracked, "I am dying slowly. I want more from life. I want to be somebody. Please show me how to make real money like you." Chief Odinaka studied Emeka for a long moment, his mind already calculating. Here was his desperate participant, delivered right to his doorstep. "You want to be rich, Emeka?" Chief Odinaka asked, his voice deceptively gentle. "Yes, sir, I will do anything, anything at all." Chief Odinaka smiled, but there was no warmth in it. "Anything?" "Yes, sir. Come to my office tomorrow evening. We'll discuss opportunities." That night, Emeka could barely sleep. His mind raced with possibilities. Finally, his luck was changing. Finally, Chief Odinaka was going to help him escape his miserable life. If only he knew what awaited him. Next evening, Emeka sat in Chief Odinaka's opulent office, his hands trembling with nervous excitement. The room was filled with expensive furniture, awards, and photographs of Chief Odinaka with presidents and celebrities. "Emeka," Chief Odinaka began, pouring himself a glass of champagne that cost more than Emeka's monthly rent. "I've been thinking about your request. I believe I have the perfect business opportunity for you." "Thank you, sir. What kind of business?" "Shawarma." Emeka blinked in confusion. "Shawarma, sir?" "Yes, it's incredibly popular in Aba. People line up for hours for good shawarma. I will set up the most modern shawarma stand in the city for you. Premium equipment, prime location, everything you need to become the king of street food." Emeka's heart soared. "So this is more than I ever dreamed. But sir, how will I afford the startup costs? The equipment alone must cost millions." Chief Odinaka waved dismissively. "Don't worry about money. I'll handle everything. Consider it an investment in your future." "But sir, what's the catch? Why would you invest so much in me?" Chief Odinaka's expression grew serious. "Because Emeka, this won't be ordinary shawarma. The meat I'll provide you will be special. It will be so delicious, so addictive, that people will crave it like a drug. They'll travel from other states just to taste your shawarma." "What kind of meat, sir?" Chief Odinaka leaned forward, his voice dropping to a whisper. "That's not something you need to worry about. My suppliers will handle everything. Fresh meat will be delivered to you every morning before dawn. All you have to do is prepare it, cook it, and serve it. The customers will go crazy for it." Something in Chief Odinaka's tone made Emeka's skin crawl, but the promise of wealth was too intoxicating to resist. "Sir, what will be my profit?" 1 million naira per month, guaranteed." Emeka's mouth fell open. 1 million naira, it was more money than he had ever dreamed of. Enough to buy a car, rent a proper apartment, live like a human being instead of a slave. I accept, sir." Chief Odinaka smiled, and in that moment, Emeka's fate was sealed. "Excellent, we start next week. But Emeka," Chief Odinaka's voice turned deadly serious, "this business requires absolute discretion. You ask no questions about the meat. You follow my instructions exactly, and you never, ever speak to anyone about our arrangement. Do you understand?" "Yes, sir." "Good, because if you betray me, Emeka, the consequences will be severe." As Emeka left the mansion that night, his head spinning with dreams of wealth and success, he had no idea that he had just signed a contract with the devil himself. And the price would be more horrific than his worst nightmares. The shawarma stand that Chief Odinaka built for Emeka was magnificent. Located at the bustling intersection of Abawari Road and Brass Street, it had everything: a massive rotisserie that could hold 50 pounds of meat, commercial-grade grills, refrigeration units, and a sleek serving counter that gleamed under bright LED lights. A large sign read, "Emeka's Premium Shawarma," in bold red letters. The setup had cost at least 20 million naira, more money than Emeka had ever seen in his life. "This is your kingdom now," Chief Odenaka told him as they surveyed the completed stand. "Make me proud." The deliveries began immediately. Every morning at 4 a.m., a black van would pull up to the back of the stand. Two men in hoodies would unload heavy coolers without saying a word. They would place the coolers inside the refrigeration unit, take the empty ones from the previous day, and disappear into the darkness. Emeka was instructed never to look at the deliverymen's faces, never to ask questions, and never to open the coolers until they were gone. First time Emeka opened a cooler, his hands trembled. Inside were perfectly cut portions of meat, already seasoned and ready for the rotisserie. The meat was pale, almost white, with a texture unlike anything he had ever seen. "What kind of meat is this?" he wondered aloud. But Chief Odenaka's warning echoed in his mind: "Ask no questions." So Emeka loaded the meat onto the rotisserie, fired up the grill, and waited. The aroma that filled the air was intoxicating. It was unlike anything Aba had ever experienced. The smell was rich, complex, almost hypnotic. Within an hour, a line had formed at the stand. People were drawn like moths to flame, their mouths watering, their eyes fixed on the rotating meat. "What kind of meat is that?" customers would ask. "Premium imported lamb," Emeka would lie, just as Chief Odenaka had instructed him. The first customer was a young university student named Kioma. She took one bite of the shawarma and her eyes widened in amazement. This is incredible," she gasped. "I've never tasted anything like this. It's so tender, so flavorful. What's your secret?" "Special seasoning," Emeka replied, his conscience already beginning to eat at him. Word spread like wildfire. At the end of the first week, Emeka's lines stretched around the block. People came from Umuahia, Onitsha, even Lagos, just to taste his shawarma. Food bloggers wrote reviews calling it transcendent and life-changing. Social media exploded with posts about the best shawarma in Nigeria. And Emeka became rich. His first paycheck was exactly what Chief Odenaka had promised, 1 million naira, more money than he had earned in 2 years as a security guard. He moved out of his tiny room behind the mansion and rented a beautiful apartment in GRA. He bought a Honda Accord, designer clothes, and expensive shoes. For the first time in his life, he felt like somebody. But late at night, when he was alone with his thoughts, disturbing questions crept into his mind. Why was the meat always delivered in secret? Why were the deliverymen so mysterious? Why did Chief Odenaka's instructions feel so ominous? And most disturbing of all, why did the meat taste so different? As weeks turned into months, Emeka's shawarma stand became a phenomenon. Politicians, celebrities, and wealthy business people all came to eat at his stand. The governor of Abia State declared it a cultural landmark. Tourism to Aba increased by 300% as people came specifically to try Emeka's miraculous shawarma. But with success came a growing sense of dread. Emeka began to notice strange things about his customers. They didn't just enjoy his shawarma, they seemed addicted to it. Some came 3 times a day. Others would drive for hours just to get another taste. Their eyes would glaze over when they ate, as if they were in some kind of trance. And then there were the dreams. Every night, Emeka was haunted by nightmares of darkness, screaming, and blood. He would wake up in cold sweats, his heart pounding, the taste of copper in his mouth. "It's just stress," he told himself, "just the pressure of running a successful business." But deep down, he knew something was terribly wrong. The truth was more horrific than he could ever imagine. The beginning of the end came on a rainy Thursday morning in November. Emeka was preparing for another busy day when he noticed something different about the morning delivery. The black van arrived as usual, but this time, one of the coolers wasn't properly sealed. As the hooded men carried it inside, the lid shifted slightly and something fell out. Emeka's blood turned to ice. It was a human finger, complete with a gold wedding ring. "No," he whispered, his hands shaking uncontrollably. "No, no, no, no." The hooded men quickly picked up the finger and shoved it back into the cooler, but the damage was done. Emeka had seen the truth. For months, he had been serving human flesh to thousands of innocent people. His knees buckled and he collapsed to the floor, vomiting violently. The horror of what he had done crashed over him like a tsunami. Every satisfied customer, every glowing review, every smile of delight, all of it had been built on an act of cannibalism so monstrous it defied comprehension. "I have to stop this," he gasped between heaves. "I have to tell someone." But as he reached for his phone, it rang. Chief Odenaka's name flashed on the screen. "Hello, Emeka." Chief Odenaka's voice was calm, almost amused. "I trust you've discovered the secret ingredient by now." "You monster," Emeka screamed. "How could you do this? How could you make me do this?" You wanted wealth, didn't you? You said you'd do anything. Well, this is anything. Those people, all those innocent people, I've been feeding them. Human flesh, yes, and they love it, don't they? They can't get enough. Do you know why, Emeka? Emeka couldn't speak. His throat felt like it was closing. Because once a person consumes human flesh willingly, even unknowingly, their soul becomes bound to the one who provided the feast. Every person who has eaten your shawarma now belongs to me, body and spirit. They will vote for me, support me, obey me without question. They are my slaves, and they don't even know it. The phone slipped from Emeka's trembling hands. The ritual is nearly complete, Chief Odinaka continued. 20,000 souls bound to my will, enough to guarantee my election as governor and then, who knows, perhaps president. I won't do this anymore, Emeka whispered. I'll expose you, I'll tell everyone. Chief Odinaka's laughter was like broken glass. You'll do no such thing, because if you try to expose me, Emeka, I'll simply tell the world that you were the mastermind, that you were the one procuring the human flesh, that you were the cannibal entrepreneur who built his empire on the bones of his victims. But that's not true. Isn't it? You're the one who cooked the meat. You're the one who served it. You're the one who took the money. In the eyes of the law, you're the criminal. I'm just an innocent investor who was deceived by his employee. The trap was perfect. Emeka was damned if he continued and damned if he stopped. But fate, as it often does, had other plans. The end came swiftly and without warning. Known to both Emeka and Chief Odinaka, one of the hooded deliverymen, a young man named Ikechukwu, who had been forced into the horrific job to pay off family debts, had been documenting everything. Every delivery, every conversation, every order from Chief Odinaka. Ichekwu's conscience had finally broken when he learned that one of the victims was his own cousin, a Okada rider who had disappeared 3 weeks earlier. The guilt was eating him alive, and he knew he had to act. On that fateful Thursday morning, while Emeka was discovering the truth about his business, Ikechukwu was at the state police headquarters, handing over hours of video evidence to Detective Inspector Sarah Okoye. The raid happened at exactly 2:47 p.m. Emeka was serving a line of customers when police vehicles surrounded the shawarma stand. Officers in tactical gear poured out, their weapons drawn, their faces grim with determination. Everyone step back, this is a police operation. The customers scattered in panic as officers seized the rotisserie, the coolers, and every piece of evidence they could find. Emeka stood frozen, a half-prepared shawarma still in his hands, as Detective Inspector Okoye approached him. Emeka Okafor, you are under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder, desecration of human remains, and operating an illegal food establishment. Anything you say can and will be used against you in a court of law. The handcuffs felt ice cold against his wrists. As he was led away, Emeka saw the crowd that had gathered. Hundreds of his former customers, their faces twisted with horror and disgust as they realized what they had been eating. Some were vomiting, others were screaming, many were crying, their hands clutched to their stomachs in revulsion. We ate people, someone shouted. He made us cannibals. How many bodies? Another voice cried. How many people did he kill? The investigation that followed shocked the entire nation. Police discovered that Chief Odinaka's operation had murdered over 200 people, homeless individuals, missing persons, kidnapped victims from across the southeast. The bodies were processed in a hidden facility in the forest, then distributed to Emeka's shawarma stand. When police arrived at Chief Odinaka's mansion to arrest him, they found it empty. He had vanished without a trace, taking his wealth and disappearing into the shadows like the demon he truly was. Emeka's trial became the most watched criminal proceeding in Nigerian history. In the dock, he broke down completely, confessing everything and begging for forgiveness from the families of the victims and the thousands of people he had unknowingly turned into cannibals. I was blinded by greed, he sobbed. I wanted wealth so badly that I ignored every warning sign. I am not asking for mercy. I know I deserve whatever punishment you give me, but please help me warn others. Help me make sure this never happens again. The judge's sentence was swift and severe, life imprisonment without the possibility of parole. As Emeka was led away to begin his sentence, he turned to face the packed courtroom one last time. Learn from my story, he said, his voice breaking. Greed is a poison that will destroy everything you touch. No amount of money is worth selling your soul. Chief Odinaka remains at large to this day, his whereabouts unknown. But his name has become a curse word in Nigeria, and his story a warning that parents tell their children about the dangers of unchecked ambition. And so, my friends, the tale of Emeka and Chief Odinaka comes to an end, but the lessons it teaches will echo through generations. Emeka's hunger for wealth blinded him to the evil he was participating in. His greed made him complicit in one of the most horrific crimes in Nigerian history. He traded his integrity, his peace of mind, and his freedom for money that brought him nothing but ruin. Chief Odinaka's thirst for power led him down a path so dark that he became something less than human. In his quest to control others, he lost control of himself, becoming a monster who destroyed hundreds of innocent lives. Perhaps the most chilling lesson of all is how easily good people can be deceived. Thousands of innocent customers thought they were simply enjoying delicious street food. They had no idea they were being used as pawns in a supernatural game of power and control. This story reminds us that evil often wears a beautiful mask. It comes disguised as opportunity, as success, as everything we think we want. But behind that mask lies nothing but destruction. So the next time you see something that seems too good to be true, ask questions. The next time someone offers you wealth without effort, be suspicious. The next time your conscience whispers a warning, listen to it. Because as Emeka learned too late, some prices are too high to pay, no matter what they promise in return. Now I must ask you, what would you have done in Emeka's position? Would you have walked away from the wealth, or would you have been tempted by the promise of riches? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Your voice matters, and we want to hear from you. If this story has shocked you, if it has made you think about the choices we make and the prices we're willing to pay, then share it with your friends and family. Help spread the warning that this tale carries. And if you want to hear more stories like this, stories that will make you question, reflect, and wonder, then don't forget to smash that like button, subscribe to our channel, and ring that notification bell. Your support helps us bring you more of these thought-provoking tales that remind us of the importance of making the right choices, no matter how difficult they may be. Until next time, my friends, stay wise, stay vigilant, and remember, the shortcuts to success often lead to the longest roads to ruin. And the next time you're craving shawarma, remember Emeka's story. What shocked you most about this tale? Have you ever been tempted by an opportunity that seemed too good to be true? Share your experiences in the comments below.